future land use map, Flume, of approximately 0.28 acres of real property located on the north side of Lewis Street between First Coast Highway and Mary Avenue from commercial to high-density residential, owner Colin Smith, District 2. And with that, we will open the floor for our staff presentation. How are you?
I'm well. Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening.
As stated by the Chair, this is a request to amend the future land use map designation of one parcel totaling approximately 0.2 acres from commercial to high-density residential. The property is currently vacant. It's situated in some single-family houses on the north side of Lewis Street, just east of Lewis Street's intersection with First Coast Highway. Future land use map in red here is commercial. The zoning is residential single family to American Beach. So it's incompatible. Property is undevelopable as is. One would have to change for it to be developable. So therefore the request is to take it to high density residential. Now why high density residential? Here's, again, this is, larger shot, obviously. We have the lot depicted and outlined in red. This is commercial. True, this is does have a future land use map designation of commercial, but these addresses that you see here are all single family. It did not develop commercially. Here in orange, you can see this is, so why HDR, why not MDR, why LDR? This is compatible with the rest of the neighborhood south of Lewis Street and east of Mary Avenue out to the coast. You can see this is, all this orange is approximately 53 acres of high-density residential land use designation. And again, here to match, you can see here, this is all zoned residential single-family to American Beach. With the exception, you can see on the future land use map, this is commercial, this is residential. Now, it's consistency with the future land use, with the comprehensive plan. This makes a developable lot out of a vacant lot developable by allowing a single family house to be developed in existing neighborhood. I'd point out here the proposed high density residential flume designation, staff believes, the Planning and Zoning Board believes, is a context sensitive use of the land that preserves the integrity of the single family neighborhood. Instead of changing the zoning to commercial and introducing commercial right in the middle of those houses, this preserves the identity of it as single family. And the zoning, despite the high density residential designation, despite the high density portion of that, it's single family zoning, it's one lot. Only one house can be developed on that lot. Staff believes that finds that this is consistent with the comprehensive plan, as did the Planning and Zoning Board, voted 6-1 to recommend approval at its July 21st, 2026 meeting. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any board deliberation or discussions,
I have
questions?
no questions.
Thank you.
Was there any speakers?
Nope, I have a speaker card for Tab L. So with that, I'll close the floor for public discussion, board deliberation, or entertain a motion to approve or deny.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Hupman.
based on the record of evidence testimony received, I find the plan amendment.
Hold on.
He's got a card, I think.
Oh, I'm so, wait for the agenda item K. You did, Miss Davis. I put you, come on, Miss Davis. I apologize. Please bear with me. I had them in alphabetical order, and then Mr. Gray moved my cards.
Okay, good, that's a good one.
My apologies, Ms. Davis.
I had K and L. I apologize. L got on top of K. Miss Davis, please forgive my clerical error.
Okay. Good evening, everyone.
I had L then K.
Beverly Davis, 5436 Irvin Street, American Beach. My concern and many of my neighbors is not the changing from commercial to residential. The serious concern is if only one house intends to be built there, as previously stated, why is high density needed to be specified if only a single house can go there? So that's kind of a double speak as I hear it. The second issue is we'd asked a delay to look at the community as a whole and not keep doing these piecemeal zoning changes to American Beach as we look for consistency with the future land use. So in the July meeting, my neighbor Pam Buncombe requested a meeting with Director Back, and so we are requesting again that we have a meeting so that we can have a better sense of consistency and what is happening in terms of the view of future land use for American Beach. So we hope that we can get a meeting, and it's being requested again for that purpose, and that this be delayed. And also the high density not be part of the motion. If you approve it, that would not be granted, since we are zoned as a single residency. And this came up a few years ago, when it was put forth to kind of make the whole thing all of American Beach high density, and it was removed from the agenda then. So I just asked for looking at it in a holistic view, as we say, instead of piecemealing, changing. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh, go ahead, Mr. Hutman.
No, we'll wait for Mr.
Okay.
Ryder.
Thank you. Go back to the map that we had earlier that shows the overview, larger overview of the future land use map designation for this neighborhood. So to the first question, why high-density residential and why not low-density or medium-density? It's a good question. Because of the number of single-family properties, all of these here, almost all of them are single-family residences, and they have the high-density residential designation. To insert LDR, MDR would be a little bit out of character with that. Now, the zoning only allows one single-family house. That's consistent with everything else that here. So that's why staff has made this recommendation. That's why the Planning and Zoning Board made the recommendation. As far as point number 2, as far as a delay to consider the area as a whole, we take applications by voluntary applications by property owners, and that's what's occurred here. And then point number 3, we'll be happy to meet with anybody, and they can request it through the planning department line, a meeting, or contact me or Mrs. Back.
Okay, any other questions, Mr. Hutman? It looked like.
No, I would say that, Madam Chair, I'm certainly willing to put that meeting together, Ms. Davis. We could talk about that, getting that on the schedule and having a comprehensive discussion about the greater vision. Right now, this aligns that one piece. At 0.28, even if I multiplied that by 3 under high, it would still come out as one unit. It doesn't, it can only be one unit. So I find that consistent. That'd be my comment there.
Okay, thank you. Any other board questions for staff?
None, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. And with that, I'll close the floor for discussion.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Hutman?
based on the record evidence and testimony received, I find the plan amendment is consistent with FL 0102B and policy FL 0104A through G of the Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, and therefore my motion is to approve CPA 26010.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Hutman, seconded by Commissioner Martin. Madam Clerk, will you call the vote?
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner Farmer,
Yes.
Commissioner Hutman,
Yes?
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
and Chair McCullough.
Yes.
That's 5 ayes, 0 nays.
That will take us to tab L. Consider CPA 26-011 and ordinance 2026-052, an amendment to the future land use map, Flume, of approximately 3.99 acres located at 451541 State Road 200, from agriculture to commercial. Paul Murray Oil Inc. owner, Avid Group, Agent District 4. And with that, we will open the floor and our staff presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Kaylin Thompson, Principal Housing Planner with the Planning Department.
So this is a request to consider an amendment to the future land use map of approximately 3.99 acres from agriculture to commercial. So here's a location map of the parcel along SR 200. You can see that the current zoning is commercial general, and the land use is proposed to change from agriculture to commercial so that it's consistent with the zoning. And this is an overall vicinity map of the parcel within Callahan. So in terms of consistency with the comprehensive plan, this amendment would be consistent with future land use policy FL.01.02C, which allows for commercial uses. And once again, this amendment would create compatibility with the existing commercial general zoning designation. And development on the subject parcel will comply with appropriate setbacks and floor area ratio requirements. This amendment is also consistent with future land use policy FL.01.04 subcriteria C. It would not promote low intensity, low density, or any single-use developments. This amendment cleans up an inconsistency with the current zoning on the property, and the current zoning allows the property to be used for commercial uses, and so the Flume Amendment will create cohesion between the subject parcel and surrounding uses. It's also consistent with subcriteria L. The proposed amendment promotes a functional mix of uses. The surrounding area is predominantly single-family residential and agricultural, so providing a node of commercial activity to this area will encourage the functional mix of uses. The request is also consistent with subcriteria B. The subject property is zoned commercial general and is contiguous to other properties zoned commercial general and is in close proximity to a property with a commercial future land use designation. Further east are multiple plant developments in addition to the Timber to Tides development overlay that are served by public infrastructure. In terms of the conclusion and recommendation, staff finds that the requested amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan and the adopted criteria for approval of a Flume amendment in policy FL.01.02C and policy FL.01.04A through G. Based on these findings, staff recommends approval of application CPA 26-011. And at the July 21st hearing, the Planning and Zoning Board also voted to recommend approval of the application 7-0.
Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Any questions? With that, I will call Miss Nancy Roselle to the podium. And I do apologize still for having the K and the L swapped.
Good evening. My name is Nancy Roselle. I live at 451563 State Road 200, Callahan. I am directly east of this proposed property development. We were here about a year and a half ago. I think many of you were here, if not all of you, when the land was zoned from agriculture to commercial for a beautiful bloom nursery, warehouse, overflow, low comings and goings, not really a retail space. They were gonna have 7,800 square feet in a building. There was a pond in the front, which would be the south part of that piece of property that was wet, a pond. You proved that. Now they want to take this less than 4 acres and develop it with over 23,000 square feet of buildings, over 100 parking spaces. Again, we are primarily a residential area. There are blips and pieces, if the map was up, about this particular area of what I love to call Italia, that has many residences, but could have commercial. I don't think this is gonna enhance my property at all. I'm gonna have a 2-story building looking into my yard, my bedroom. There's a Rocking Horse development that came in. They had 1 acre lots. You're getting a pretty penny for those in taxes. I understand Murphy Oil wants to move out of Jacksonville, but I don't want it destroying this beautiful area of Nassau County. The setbacks, they're gonna require moving the driveway that's there present on the west side to the east side, which will be next to my property. They're gonna require a 525-foot turn lane that will be directly in front of my property. I already have to leave with 65 miles an hour traffic. If I want to turn east, I have to cross over to a turn lane. With the setbacks of this proposed planning they're doing, I only have 20 feet. There's no berm, there's no obscurity. If you have 100 parking, that could be 200 people there a day. I see my time's out. I really wish you would reconsider allowing this. I don't know why the zoning board planning thought this was a good idea to compact all of this in 4 acres and under, given what you have to have with setbacks, drainage, et cetera.
Thank you.
So I'm very opposed.
Thank you. Do we have any board questions for staff? With that, I'll close the floor for public discussion, board deliberation.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Farmer?
if I'm not mistaken, isn't this the old, this is where the old palm tree place was? Just to the west of, where the RV repair place is. And there'll still be, required buffering and screening, just as any other commercial property. It's no different really than what we just approved recently across 200 over there. So, I mean, if we don't mind, our planning department can come up and maybe clearly define what the screening, is required for this, if you don't mind. I know there are gonna be some landscape requirements and some screening requirements of some sort, because I've seen them.
Point of discussion, Madam Chair, as this is a rezoning part, I don't think we're even
At the
having a conversation
site
about what
plan.
the site plan would be.
Well,
Correct.
right, but it's still gonna be required somewhere in the plan, correct?
We've asked planning to come back up. Is there somebody from planning who could come and address the board's questions, please?
Hi.
There's no site plan. This is a rezoning application.
Correct, it's a rezoning application.
Right.
So the site plan that was provided is a preliminary site plan.
Just a correction, this is not a rezoning. This is a comprehensive
Comprehensive plan amendment,
Correct.
yes,
plan
ma'am.
for future land use.
Correct,
CMA.
amendment to the future land use, but yes, the site plan that's provided is really just illustrate the proposal, but in the future, when this project were to develop, it would come through the county's DRC review, the engineering clearing review. At that point, we would look at buffering and traffic and driveways and turn lanes. As she's bringing it up, and as far as the buffering, per LDC, the buffering is based on adjacent land uses. So we look at the adjacent properties, and if there's a single-family land use directly next to this sort of high-intensity commercial use, then it would be the highest intensity buffer. I'd have to actually look at the properties to see how they're classified.
Sure, but
It's
they're-
likely the high-intensity buffer,
That's
which has
kinda-
like a screening via fence or,
Right, I'm not trying to ask you
Get
to,
all the specifications
right,
up.
to specify exactly what it would be for this, but let's just say hypothetically that it were, high intensity, there are gonna be, some pretty strict guidelines to follow. And I
Yes.
know that from dealing with these in the past, so I just want you to go over what it would be if it is that high intensity.
Yeah, the perimeter landscape strip along 200 would be 20 feet wide of planning area.
Right.
It would also require pedestrian accessibility, either a multi-use trail or a sidewalk to be built in that. So that's a full planted area of 20 feet. Now, specifically about the high-intensity land use buffer, that is, it's a 25-foot wide buffer with 5 canopy trees and 90 shrubs per 100 linear feet, and 25 feet and a 25-foot planted area.
I know from dealing with these in the past, to Ms. Roselle's point, it's kind of hard to even see that this is commercial. A lot of
And-
times, whenever, you know, you see the way it looks now, and I mean, I know exactly what property they're looking at, because I've actually worked on that property before in the years past, whenever it was owned by the palm tree people. And, it's not gonna take a new shape where it looks like the post office in downtown Callahan is what that's what I'm trying to get at, you know? And so I understand, you know, that, living there alongside or adjacent to it, you know, can be problematic, to a certain degree, but then, you know, if you went in and you went the other way with it and you built a bunch of homes in there, you know, from a commissioner's standpoint, you know, we get a lot of grief for that too. You know, where people say, hey, you know, so it's kind of like you got to weigh it out and try to do the best for the most. And I just wanted to clarify that, you know, whatever there is going to be there eventually, something's going to be there, right? Because I don't own it and you don't own it. That we're trying to do the best for the most and trying to, you know, retain its character for the best way to put it, you know. Back to the east, that RV place that's to the east of you there, I know that, you know, it's taken a kind of a new shape from when it was a diesel shop when I was a little boy. You know, that was Payne's Diesel, and so, you know, it's changed a lot over the years, and so, you know, it's looks a little different, but I know that it's there's some hurdles, let's say that. It's not just put what you want there, how you want there. I mean, it's going to require some buffering and going to require some landscape requirements, and I think that whenever it's there, it's, you know, again, we're going to try to make it as comfortable as we can for you, you know, in my opinion.
There's more. There's more. In addition to the planning, there's also a requirement for one of the following materials: a 5-foot masonry wall stuccoed on the side facing the abutting property, or a solid 6-foot fence constructed of either vinyl, cypress, or some sort of pressure-treated wood. We try to maintain, if there's existing vegetation, we try to use that as well, or a berm with shrubs on it. So there's more to it than just the planning.
Sure.
Thank you.
And just so you know, whether you know or not, the Nestlers that are just there to the east of you, I know them really well, and you know, all their front properties there at one point back in the day was all cut out for commercial, and it's been a battle, you know. So you know, it's been a case by case, property by property discussion to try and fix some of that stuff that came. It was in play long before I got here to the board, and I understand. I mean, if I lived back there in one of those residential areas, I wouldn't want the first, say, 250, 300 feet of my property to be commercial, and it got changed without my knowledge. And so I think that way back in the day, there was some planner that was, I think it predated Taco, that came in and made some changes, and you ask around and everybody kind of points the finger as to how it got that way. And so, I mean, I understand, and you know, want to try to preserve the rural character for you as much as I can. But again, it's going to be some hurdles, you know. So.
1 second, no, ma'am. I do want to stay on parliamentary procedure. The floor is closed for public discussion. This is board deliberation. I do want, you have a planner to the right of you. I want to make sure either A, I can give you my card at the end of the meeting and I can definitely get you, but I know our planning staff is amazing. You have one seated right to the right of you that you can exchange that contact information, and he will be able to answer all of your questions. But we have moved to the closed part of the floor, and so this is board deliberation or motions.
I've said all I want to say, so, you know, I mean, you guys want to make a motion, you make a motion.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve tab L.
You need to read
I
this.
need to read it, yeah, I'm off, yeah.
Okay.
Tab L, CPA 260111, future land use map amendment from agriculture to commercial based upon the record, evidence, and testimony received. I find that the plan amendment is consistent with policy FLO 102C and policy FLO 104A through G of the Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, and therefore my motion is to approve CPA 26-011. And I'd like to also state that State Road 200 is gonna be a future corridor for business. And I understand, Ms. Nancy Rozelle's comments earlier, but that's my motion, and as the future moves forward for economic development, State Road 200 will probably be developed, maybe not in my lifetime, but in my kids or my grandkids' lifetime. That's all I have. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Gray. Motion made by Mr. Gray,
Second.
seconded by Commissioner Hutman. Madam Clerk, will you call the vote?
Commissioner Hutman,
Yes?
Commissioner Martin,
yes,
Commissioner Gray,
Yes.
Commissioner Farmer,
Yes.
and Chair McCullough.
Yes.
5 ayes, 0 nays.
Tabs M through N are quasi judicial hearings. The county attorney will read through the following procedures.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Following items are to be heard as quasi-judicial hearings. Those are tab M, to consider R 26-009 and ordinance 2026-051, the rezoning of approximately 1.01 acres located on the west side of US Highway 17 between Crosby Avenue and William Burgess Boulevard from Industrial Warehouse IW to Commercial General CG, Liberty Bail Bonds LLC owner, Nassau County agent in District 3. Tab N, to consider R 26-010 and ordinance 2026-054, the rezoning of approximately 2.41 acres located on the northwest corner of US Highway 17 and Harts Road from open rural OR to Commercial General CG, Harts 49 LLC owner, Nassau County agent, District 3. Quasi-judicial hearings by state and case law are different than regular hearings conducted by this board. A quasi-judicial hearing is less formal than a court hearing, but similar in its procedures and evidence matters. Applicants have the burden of demonstrating through competent and substantial evidence that his or her application is consistent with the following requirements. For tab N, M as in Mary, that is policy FL.01.02C and policy FL.08.06A through G of the Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, and section 502C and 502D 1 through 8 of the Nassau County Land Development Code. For tab N, that is policy FL.01.02C and policy FL.08.06A through G of the Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, and section 502C and section 502D 1 through 8 of the Nassau County Land Development Code. Those opposed must also demonstrate through competent and substantial evidence that the application does not meet these requirements. While the board welcomes comments from all who have an interest in these proceedings, Florida law requires that the board's decision in a quasi-judicial action be supported by competent substantial evidence presented to the board during the hearing on the application. Competent substantial evidence is that evidence which a reasonable mind would accept as adequate to support a conclusion, and there must be a factual basis in the record to support opinion testimony from both expert and non-expert witnesses. General objections without specific evidence does not constitute competent and substantial evidence. Email communications received until the time of this meeting are part of the public record for the hearing, but are not without more competent and substantial evidence. The applicant is entitled to be represented by counsel, and if any applicant desires a continuation to obtain counsel, they may ask the board. I believe that Nassau County is a agent applicant in all of these cases. So the hearing procedures will be modified as follows. Staff will be sworn to give the applicant's request. They will have 10 minutes. Any applicant who is being represented here wishes to make a presentation, they will have 15 minutes to do so. Public participants for or against the application will be sworn in. They will have 3 minutes each to provide testimony or present evidence to the board. Extensions of time may only be granted through the chair. Sharing or transferring of time is not allowed. Public participants presenting evidence for or against the application will address the board at the podium. Any documents or photographs will be submitted to the deputy clerk. They do become a part of the permanent record. If there is any rebuttal or cross-exam, the applicant or their representative will have 10 minutes to do so. Staff will have 5 minutes for final comments. The board will then close the public hearing and discuss the application. You may ask questions of applicants, staff, or witnesses for or against it. Any motion of the board should include whether the board member finds competent, substantial evidence in the record and/or testimony received to support your decision to approve or deny the agenda item. Again, the meeting's being recorded, so please no applause, outburst, or talking. It does distort the recording. If anyone has questions, please ask them at this time. Seeing none, Madam Chair, you may continue.
Thank you. That will take us to tab M. Consider R26-009 and ordinance 2026-051, the rezoning of approximately 1.01 acres located on the west side of US Highway 17 between Crosby Avenue and William Burgess Boulevard from industrial warehouse to commercial general, Liberty Bail Bonds LLC owner, Nassau County agent, District 3. That will take us to ex parte. Do any member of the board have any ex parte disclosure, including emails, letters, site visits, and any other forms of communication? The disclosure shall include all communication was with and the nature of the communication. Mr. Farmer?
None.
Mr. Martin?
None.
Mr. Hutman?
None, ma'am.
Mr. Gray?
None, Madam Chair.
And I have none. Madam Clerk, will you please identify the documents to be placed into the record?
Documents for R26-009, application 10 pages, consent form 2 pages, supplemental staff report 5 pages, PZB staff report 5 pages, draft ordinance 2026-051 3 pages, business impact estimate 2 pages, executed PZB motion 1 page, PZB staff presentation 10 pages, and BOCC presentation 10 pages.
Madam Chair,
Mr.
I
Hutman?
make a motion to accept the documents into evidence.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Hutman, second by Commissioner Farmer. All in favor say aye.
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 And with that, I will open the floor for the public hearing. Staff presentation.
Do you swear from the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Please state your name and title for the record.
Elizabeth Beck with the Planning Department. Good evening, Commissioners. So the item you have before you, this one and the one after this one, are both rezonings to address mismatches between the future land use categories and the zoning districts. As Ms. May stated, these are both sponsored by Nassau County. The applicant for this is Liberty Bail Bonds Nassau LLC, and this is a request to rezone approximately 1.01 acres from industrial warehouse, or IW, to commercial general, and this is in Commission District 3. To orient you to the site, we are on the west side of US Highway 17. This is south of State Road 200. Just east, you can see there the railroad track on the west, sorry. US 17 is on the east. So on the left-hand side, it's this 1 acre parcel in the red boundary, seeking to move from the IW to the CG. As you'll see on the right-hand side, the existing future land use is commercial. So you have that mismatch between the more industrial zoning district and the commercial land use. I'm sure you're aware of the uses in the CG land use category, or zoning category, but they're for general commercial uses, meeting the retail, sales, and service needs of county residents, encouraging the concentration of those and not extension of strip commercial areas, encouraging nodal development patterns at major intersections, and for compact land use patterns in areas of commercial infill. So this is found to be consistent with policy FL.01.02C with the commercial future land use designation. In this vicinity, there are uses such as a convenience store, retail sales, additionally multifamily residences, and the rezoning would be consistent with the development along this stretch of US Highway 17. So I do have the staff report. You have that in your background material. I want to read through all of this, but I did want to point out that on May 11th, the Board of County Commissioners did approve a resolution for identified parcels, which was Appendix A to that resolution, to give those folks 7 months of the transition period where they could voluntarily seek to bring their applications in to right those mismatches. And that is what this applicant is availing themselves of the opportunity to do. to remedy the conflict situation by rezoning the parcel. And so they have that 7-month window to do that. Each applicant was sent a letter in the mail, and many of them are availing themselves of that opportunity. This proposal does align with the strategic plan in terms of prioritizing economic development, business expansion and retention, job creation, promoting policies, programs, partnerships, and initiatives for the application of the 6 pillars of Florida's future economy from the Chamber of Commerce. And additionally, with the Vision 2050 plan to support reinvestment and redevelopment of underutilized retail service centers and commercial corridors. Wetlands have not been identified on the site, and it is not located in a special flood hazard area. We're not aware of any environmentally sensitive lands. As was mentioned earlier this evening, we have a rigorous site plan review process. We apply buffers and screening, perimeter landscape strips. If this site were ever redeveloped, it would be required to comply with all those parameters. Staff does find this application to be consistent with the comprehensive plan, the land development code. Based on those findings, staff is recommending approval of application R26009. And I should state that the Planning and Zoning Board did choose to recommend approval during their July 21st Planning and Zoning Board meeting with unanimous vote. Happy to answer any questions.
And so that will be our applicant, and I have no speaker cards. Do we have any comments for any board questions? Okay, with that, I'm gonna close the public hearing for tab M, board deliberation, or I will entertain a motion.
If there's no discussion, I'd like to make a motion to approve tab M, Madam Chair. Based upon the record evidence and testimony received, I find that there is competent substantial evidence pursuant to policy FL 0102C and policy FL 0806A through G of the Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, and section 5.02C and section 5.02D 1 through 8 of the Nassau County Land Development Code, and therefore my motion is to approve R26-009. Madam Chair.
Second?
Motion made by Commissioner Gray, seconded by Commissioner Hutman. Madam Clerk, will you please call the vote?
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner Farmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Huffman?
Yes?
And Chair McCullough?
Yes.
That's 5 ayes, 0 nays.
That will take us to tab N. Consider R26-010 and ordinance 2026-054, the rezoning of approximately 2.41 acres located on the northwest corner of US Highway 17 and Harts Road from open rural to commercial general, Harts 49 LLC owner, Nassau County agent, District 3. Is there any ex parte disclosures, Mr. Farmer?
None.
Mr. Hutman?
None.
Mr. Martin?
None.
Mr. Gray?
None.
And I have none. Madam Clerk, will you please identify the documents to be placed into the record for tab N?
This is for R26-010, application 10 page, consent forms 2 pages, supplemental staff report 6 pages, PZB staff report 5 pages, draft ordinance 2026-054 7 pages, business impact estimate 2 pages, executed PZB motion 1 page, PZB staff presentation 10 pages, and BOCC presentation 10 pages.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Hutman?
make a motion to accept the documents into evidence.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Hutman, seconded by Commissioner Farmer. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed say nay. With that, we will open the floor for public hearing on tab N. Staff presentation.
Hello again, Elizabeth Back with the Planning Department. So this will be a very similar case to the one you just heard. The only difference really being they're moving from open rural, OR, requesting commercial general or CG. Also in Commission District 3, we're a little bit further south on US 17. Applicant owners Harts 49 LLC, and again, Nassau County is the agent. So here we are on this map. You can see US Highway 17 here. We're on the west side of the road, northwest corner of US 17 and Harts Road. On the left-hand side map, you can see the parcel outlined in red, seeking to move from OR to CG, mismatch with the current land use, which is commercial or COM. A little bit hard to see the red line on top of the red. So we previously discussed, what Commercial General is intended to do, provide for retail sales and service needs of Nassau County residents. We'll move on to the comprehensive plan. This is consistent with policy FL.0102C to have your CG aligned with the commercial underlying land use. And it would be consistent with the development in the area along US Highway 17, having such uses as a repair shop, convenience store, gas station, retail sales, shed sales, and there are some single-family residences to the west and south. So as I stated for the previous case, on May 11th, the resolution was passed to allow folks to avail themselves of the opportunity to align the mismatched properties between their zoning and their current underlying land use. So that is what this applicant is availing themselves of. This is also aligned with the 6 pillars of Florida's future economy from the Florida Chamber of Commerce and with our Vision 2050 plan. There are no wetlands identified on the site, nor is it in the special flood hazard area. I'm not aware of any environmentally sensitive lands. However, at time of site plan review, that rigorous process I mentioned before about adhering to the required buffers, be they the perimeter landscape strip, incompatible with land use, adjacent land use buffers would be required. Did want to point out there were a couple of properties or a couple of buildings on the site identified in the county's Phase 2 Historic Resources Survey. However, they were not identified as being eligible for Historic Preservation District or individual designation. Let's see. I did want to mention for this one, it's a little bit different than the last one. The last one is in the William Burgess district and has to adhere to the blueprint in terms of architectural regulations and requirements. This one is in an area that you'll recall on May 15th. Sorry, got my dates wrong. It expires on May 15th, 2029, the provision where they can deviate from the blueprint standards. They're south of that box plant. They're in that little area that was enabled to have the opportunity to go with the, basically as a Euclidean district, would have to adhere to regular code requirements and not the blueprint requirements. But that does sunset in 2029, and after that point, they would have to adhere to the blueprint regulations. So, where am I? Staff does find that the rezoning request is consistent with the requirements of the comprehensive plan, the land development code, and does recommend approval of this application. And also the Planning and Zoning Board did recommend approval during their July 21st PZB meeting. Happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for staff?
No, ma'am.
Okay, with that, I'm gonna close the public hearing for tab N and board deliberation, or I will entertain a motion to approve or deny R26-010.
Madam Chair,
Mr. Hutman?
based on the record evidence and testimony received, I find that there is competent and substantial evidence pursuant to policy FL0102C and policy FL0806A through G of the Nassau County Comprehensive Plan, Section 5.02C and Section 5.02D, 1 through 8 of the Nassau County Land Development Code. Therefore, my motion is to approve R26-010.
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner Hutman, seconded by Commissioner Farmer. Madam Clerk, will you please call the vote?
Commissioner Farmer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gray?
Yes.
Commissioner Hutman?
Yes?
Commissioner Martin?
Yes.
And Chair McCullough?
Yes.
That's 5 ayes, 0 nays.
That will take us to general public comment. Ms. Patty Castellion? Scattalone. And we have emailed it back and forth all week long. Yes, ma'am. It's the first day of school.
Taco knows how to say my name. I'm Pat Scattalone. I live at 96454 Otter Run Drive, Fernandina Beach. First of all, I want to thank the hardworking fact-gathering team that pulled together a lot of information, a lot of speakers, to create a draft of goals for the BOCC. I know that they worked very diligently to create data center definitions, goals, and then an oversight chart. Citizens were given the opportunity to give feedback on the draft, and I'm hoping that many responded by July 30th. I know that I did. I'm hoping that after this feedback's been given and as the draft is adjusted or adapted, that there's an opportunity to review that prior to being submitted to the BOCC for citizen feedback. I was concerned that in the data center definitions that there was a lot of detailed information about electricity. And I do understand that the St. Johns River Management has oversight of water. My concern was that there was nothing addressed about water in the goals. So I don't know how we go about approaching that, but certainly I would want the heart of our county to say, we value our water, we want to protect our water and protect the people that in particular have wells. As for the suggested goals, goal number 4 addressed creating skilled employment opportunities. And after reviewing a couple of websites, per recruit.com staffing offers that there are skilled jobs in the build-out, but once the build-out is completed, it's primarily maintenance jobs, taking care of it, and they're very few. Goal 6 states to establish policies and standards and ordinances to maximize the overall return on investment. I didn't see anything addressing accountability expectations, such as expecting companies to pay for a build of their own water treatment station site, electrical grid capabilities on site, and managing their e-waste even when they sell or vacate a property. On the oversight table, I didn't see how each entity holds data centers accountable to reporting expectations. I didn't see anything addressing fines for overuse or for not reporting in timely fashion. I know that you all received the 42 demands submitted by Plymouth Township, Pennsylvania commissioners. They have stated in their ordinances and in their standards that an applicant needs to satisfy 42 different ordinances. They've crafted a well-thought-out roadmap and a helpful tool in establishing standards. They set expectations and accountability through their ordinances. And currently, Julie Fiera is working on a rewording or reworking of those 42 items that's appropriate for Nassau County. Thank you.
No, thank you. Mr. Chad Charlin?
My name is Chad Charlin, 3046B First Avenue, Fernandina Beach. And 3 weeks ago, I visited 3 hyperscale data centers in the Atlanta area and wanted to share what I witnessed, believing it can be useful as we develop data center regulations here. Surprisingly, it's not all bad news. For starters, none of the 3 facilities I visited produced the sort of horrendous noise pollution you've probably read about. Now, data centers can generate incredible noise pollution, but they don't have to. So when you're coming up with the data center regulations for Nassau County, demand that data centers produce no more noise than any other manufacturing or warehouse facility. Demand the absolute best practices available from the data center industry across every conceivable category before considering an application for a data center here. One of the data centers I visited ran on renewable energy. Require that here. Require it. The industry can do it, so demand it. And another one of the data centers I visited did use the closed loop cooling system you hear about, which dramatically reduces its service water demands. So require that here. Now, I will remind you, water demands to produce the energy that powers the data center cooling requires millions of gallons that isn't typically associated with the data center's water tab. Energy production requires water. Data center cooling requires water. That energy production does not often get tabulated with the data center water usage. But think about best practices across every single category. And again, like Pat was mentioning, closed loop cooling systems do produce toxic wastewater after that water cycles through all the machinery repeatedly. And I've read dozens of articles without finding a clear answer as to what chemicals and at what levels that water is contaminated. So I would advise Nassau County to not only require closed-loop cooling systems, but also that data center developers build their own on-site wastewater treatment to treat their toxic wastewater before sending it back to the county or discharging it into the environment. What did alarm me from my visits is that I did not expect to see the extent to which data centers are covered with surveillance cameras. Many of these, the Flock brand surveillance cameras, which are networked across thousands of law enforcement agencies nationwide. Data centers are not just data centers, they are mass surveillance centers. Network data center surveillance in Nassau County should stop at the property line. Data centers constructed here should not be allowed to put network surveillance cameras in towers that spy on neighborhoods, spy on passersby, spy into yards. These facilities are ominous. Go see one. That's another takeaway. They look more like prisons than anything else. 20-foot tall concrete walls, barbed wires, fences, guard shacks with tinted glass, mass surveillance cameras. Data centers don't want to be your neighbors. They aren't built that way. They don't want to sponsor the Little League team. They want you out and away so they can extract our resources for their corporate profit. You feel that when you visit a data center, the hostility of their construction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shedd. Mr. Brian Levesque with the Council on Aging.
Madam Chair, good evening. Good evening,
How
Board.
are you?
Doing well. How are you? So I'll keep my comments brief. My
Will you
comments
state
are.
your name and address for the record?
I'm so
Thank
sorry.
you.
Brian Lavaca, work is at 1901 Island Walkway, Fernandina Beach, Florida. Thank you. And I'm the Chief Administrative Officer at the Nassau County Council on Aging, and my comments are in relation to the proposed county budget for fiscal year 26-27, where the county is proposing to carve out all funding to all nonprofit organizations. And so I'm here on behalf of the older adults that we serve, our staff and our volunteers, to respectfully ask that you reconsider and restore funding to the Council on Aging. The Council on Aging has been here in Nassau County since 1974, responsible fiscal stewards, efficient and effective with the funding that they do receive. For 2025, the council was able to leverage the county funds as part of funds that leveraged federal and state funding to the tune of $1.2 million in services and supports to older adults here in Nassau County, as well as providing home-delivered meals, congregate meals, home care, and personal care, along with a plethora of other services. So again, keep my remarks short. On behalf of the Nassau County Council on Aging, we respectfully ask that you restore funding to the Council on Aging for fiscal year 26-27. Thank you. Thank you.
County Manager, do you have any other further business for the night?
No additional business, thank you.
Madam Attorney?
I have no further business.
Thank you, Mr. Farmer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Friday Night Lights is upon us. This past Friday night, had a scrimmage game over at Warrior Field versus Christ Church Eagles. It was a great time, and we're getting ready. First game will be this Friday at Paxson. It starts at 6:30, so if you're able to come out and join us, come out and visit with us. I also was able Saturday to be a part of the marker placement over at the Museum of History over on Amelia Island, honoring Princess Amelia. The Colonial Danes put that on. It's over off of 3rd Street, and there's a lot of history to that. So if you get an opportunity to go by and check out that new marker they put over there, go by and read a little bit about how Amelia Island was named. And that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Gray?
I have nothing in that, Madam
Okay,
Chair. Thank you.
thank you. Mr. Hutman?
Nothing, ma'am, thank you.
Mr. Martin?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to, I'm sure you're going to reiterate what I'm about to say, but I want to remind everyone that today was the first day back to school. And so get kids out there going to and from school, to and from after school, extracurricular activities. So just be careful out there. Make sure everyone gets where they're supposed to go and has a good day and gets home safe. The only other thing, I noticed that a good thing on Facebook, Nassau County's Facebook page advertised that we have some openings on some various boards and committees. So I would encourage folks that if you want to get involved in your county government and have a say in, or at least a recommendation on how things are going to going to go in these various committees and boards to put your name out there, put your hat in the ring, and volunteer. And that's all I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, and yes, most definitely. Happy first day back to school for Nassau County residents. We've got a lot of excitement, a lot of traffic on the road. Hope everyone has a great, safe evening, and I will see y'all next Wednesday, August 19th.
Recording stopped.